There is a pain that doesn't speak but still screams. It lingers in the quiet moments, hides behind composed faces, and drips through every little habit we refuse to change. My friend, tonight I want to talk about something that doesn't need a stage or a confession to be real, a woman who misses you, but just won't admit it. Yes, she may hold her head high, speak with strength, and seem like she's moved on. But let me tell you, if you open your eyes to her actions, not just her words, you may see something she's too afraid to say out loud. She won't message you at midnight. She won't beg for attention, and she won't let a tear slip in public. But she will still check if you're online. She will watch your stories but never react. She'll talk to mutual friends just to find out how you're doing without ever asking directly. That's not coincidence. That's care wrapped in caution. Because sometimes, the one who pretends the hardest is the one who feels the deepest. You see, love doesn't always exit loudly. Sometimes it tiptoes out, afraid of being embarrassed, afraid of looking weak. And when pride holds her hostage, she won't say, "I miss you," but her world will start to rearrange itself around your memory. You'll notice she brings up things only the two of you would understand. She remembers your routines. She knows the timing of your silence. That's not detachment. That's still being tuned into your frequency. And I ask you, what do you do when love doesn't speak, but it still shows up in patterns? You stop listening with your ears and start observing with your heart. A woman may protect her dignity at the cost of her vulnerability. She bury her desire to reconnect under layers of "I'm fine." But her actions? Her actions betray the truth. She might post a picture from a place you both loved. She may start wearing a scent you once complimented. She may even walk past your old cafe, just hoping you'll notice. And while others might say she's over it, her habits whisper otherwise. Because the heart has a memory stronger than logic, and real love, doesn't erase easily. So many men walk away thinking the silence means it's over. They delete, block, disappear. But tonight I want you to pause. I want you to reflect. Look deeper. That like on an old photo wasn't random. That small smile when she saw you across the room wasn't meaningless. And that sudden message about something random was not accidental. It was a door creaking open, hoping you'd see it. You may ask, but why won't she just say it? Because not every woman was raised to expose her heart. Some were taught to hold it tightly, guard it fiercely. She may fear rejection. She may wonder if you've already replaced her. She may think her silence is strength. But the truth is, she misses you. She misses the laughs, the comfort, the version of herself that felt safe in your presence. And if you're honest with yourself, you miss her too. Maybe you've masked it with distraction, pretended to move on. But your spirit aches. You feel her absence in places she once filled. You remember her in songs, in scents, in silence. That's not weakness. That's the residue of real connection. So what do you do now? You don't chase, but you don't ignore. You acknowledge. You forgive. You open the space for truth. Because while she may never admit she misses you, her actions already have. Her timing, her glances, her guarded warmth, it's all been her heart's way of saying, "I remember you. I still care." And if there's still a spark left, if there's still goodness buried beneath the pride, then maybe it's time for healing. Maybe it's time for grace. Not to rewrite history, but to redeem it. To recognize that some loves don't die, they just get silenced. Let this be a reminder. Pay attention not just to what she says, but what she does when she thinks no one is watching. Because in her hesitation, in her subtle messages, in her unexpected appearances, lies the echo of a love that isn't quite gone. She won't admit it, but her actions already have. There's something haunting about silence, especially when it comes from someone who once filled your world with warmth. When a woman chooses not to say anything, not to reach out, not to confess what she truly feels, that silence becomes louder than any word she could speak. It echoes in the places where you once laughed together, in the routines she suddenly withdraws from, and in the hesitation she shows when your name comes up. This silence, it's not emptiness. It's a space filled with questions, emotions she's trying to hide, and words she's too proud or too hurt to say. You might assume she doesn't care anymore. You may believe her quietness means peace, detachment, or even indifference. But if you look closely, silence often holds the most powerful truth. You see, when a woman truly doesn't care, there's no emotional residue left behind. She moves on with clarity, with certainty, and without hesitation. But when her silence seems carefully measured, when it seems like she's holding back rather than letting go, that's when you know something deeper is happening beneath the surface. It's in her silence that you might feel the weight of what she won't admit. She won't say, "I miss you," but she'll remember the time you always called. She won't text you, but she stay online hoping to see if you're still active. She won't post a story that mentions you, but she drops subtle hints, pieces of shared memories that only you two understand. Her silence is her shield, her way of protecting herself from more pain. She's afraid that if she speaks, she break. That if she says, "I still think about you," she lose what little dignity she's holding on to. So she says nothing, but her whole world starts to feel different without you in it. It shows in her lack of peace, her lack of joy, her restlessness. She may try to fill the void with distractions, with busy schedules, with new people, but you'll still find traces of you in the way she speaks, in the things she avoids, in the topics she dances around. This kind of silence isn't absence, it's resistance. It's the war between what her heart feels and what her pride demands. And sometimes she chooses silence not because she doesn't want to talk, but because she's hoping you'll hear what's behind it without her needing to say it. That you'll understand the pauses, that you'll notice her withdrawal, that you'll respond not to her words, but to her soul. There is no louder cry than the one wrapped in silence. It's a quiet longing, a careful waiting, a silent prayer for reconciliation that she may never have the courage to say out loud. And if you know her well, if you really know her, you'll recognize that this silence isn't the end. It's just her way of speaking without sound, of missing you without permission, of loving you from behind a wall she doesn't know how to tear down herself. You can always feel it when something changes, even if nothing is said outright. Her energy doesn't lie. When a woman misses you but refuses to say it, the transformation in her presence, in her responses, and in the way she carries herself becomes noticeable to the one who's paying attention. You'll feel it before you understand it. It's subtle, almost quiet, but unmistakable. She used to be vibrant around you, filled with a calm comfort that came naturally when the connection between you two was alive. But now her energy seems uneven. Sometimes she appears distant, other times too involved. She may randomly show up in your orbit liking something you posted weeks ago, commenting in a group where she knows you'll see it, or walking by the places she knows you frequent. These aren't accidents. These are emotional signals disguised as casual coincidences. When she misses you but can't say it, she doesn't vanish completely. She lingers just enough for you to notice, never enough to make it obvious. Her messages might stop, but her shadow will still linger around your digital life. She watches what you post, she reads between your words. She pays attention to things she pretends don't matter. That shift in energy isn't just distance, it's tension. The tension between wanting to be seen and refusing to be vulnerable. You'll notice she's more sensitive than she was before. Maybe she gets offended by things that wouldn't have mattered months ago. Maybe she seems colder, less engaging, or just generally out of sync. That's not apathy, that's protection. She's shielding herself from feeling too much, from reopening a wound she's tried to heal without you. But love leaves residue, and her energy still carries yours. People around her might notice the change too. They'll see her staring off in thought, disengaged at times, smiling less, laughing shorter. When she misses you and won't admit it, her mind becomes a battlefield. She tries to replace your presence with distractions, but nothing feels quite right. She might try to talk to others, entertain new conversations, but the energy is mismatched. No one mirrors the comfort, the spark, or the understanding you once brought. That realization wears on her. And even when she pushes through the days pretending she's over it, the nights tend to tell the truth. Her energy at rest, when she's alone, is heavy with memory. That's when she replays things in her mind, when your name returns in the quiet, when the facade crumbles. That emotional inconsistency isn't a phase, it's a signal. Her energy doesn't know whether to forget or to hope, whether to move on or wait for something to change. She tries to be strong, to be proud, to convince herself and the world that she's healed. But the truth pulses through every reaction, every absence, every sudden reappearance. When you feel that energy pulling at you, don't dismiss it. That's not confusion. That's her heart still reaching for something her voice refuses to name. There's a powerful battle that happens within her, one you'll never see unless you know what to look for. It's the quiet war between her pride and her pain, and it leaves behind traces in every interaction, every decision, every moment of hesitation. She misses you, there's no doubt about it, but she's trapped between two forces pulling her in opposite directions. On one side is her pride, her need to preserve self-respect, dignity, and the appearance of strength. On the other side is her pain, the raw ache that comes from your absence, the silent grief of wanting to reconnect but fearing rejection, or worse, indifference. When a woman finds herself in this place, she rarely speaks openly. Instead, she lets the conflict play out in subtle ways. One moment she may seem warm, reaching out with a memory or an inside joke, and the next moment she pulls away again, cold, almost guarded. That's not her being manipulative, it's confusion. It's her heart begging for closeness and her pride demanding distance. Every text she doesn't send, every call she doesn't make, is a battle lost to pride. But every time she checks your profile, listens to a song you loved, or reads your old messages, it's pain silently winning for a moment. This constant inner tug-of-war drains her. She wants to feel whole again, to stop caring, to be unaffected. But love has a way of lingering, and no matter how much she tells herself she's done, something inside her keeps whispering otherwise. You may notice this struggle in her face when your name is mentioned, in the way her voice changes or in the timing of her sudden silences. She avoids certain conversations not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much. She doesn't want to reveal just how deep the wound still is, so she pretends. She acts indifferent, but when no one is watching, the mask slips. Her pride builds walls she hopes you'll try to climb. She tells herself that if you really cared, you'd try harder, that you'd push through the silence. At the same time, she's terrified that even if you did reach out, her pride wouldn't let her respond the way she wants to. And that's the trap. Pain tells her to speak, pride tells her to stay silent. She hopes you'll read between the lines, that you'll understand her silence isn't coldness, but fear. She fears that admitting she misses you makes her weak. That vulnerability might cost her more than she can bear again. So she chooses silence, hoping it speaks louder than words. Yet the pain always finds its way through the photos she doesn't delete, the places she still visits, the conversations where your name still lives. The people around her might say she's fine, but if they looked closely, they'd see that her heart still carries your shadow. That's the cost of love interrupted. It doesn't just fade, it fights. And her pride and pain are still at war because she hasn't found the courage to choose one fully over the other. When she misses you but refuses to admit it, you'll hear it not in what she says, but in what she chooses to bring up. The clues are hidden, almost buried, within her everyday conversations. She won't say, "I've been thinking about you," but she'll suddenly mention that cafe you both used to love, or a song that randomly reminded her of a road trip you once took together. She won't ask directly how you are, but she'll find a roundabout way to bring up your name, ask how work has been, or pretend to be casually curious about what you've been up to. These are not random topics. These are emotional breadcrumbs. Her words may not be obvious, but if you know her well, you'll hear what's underneath the surface. Her stories will somehow lead back to moments you shared. She might ask about your family, not because she suddenly became interested in them, but because she still cares. She might bring up your friends or mutual people you both once knew, just to open a door that leads back to you. Sometimes she even pretends to talk about others, about relationships or feelings, but she's really describing herself, trying to be heard without being exposed. It's a defense mechanism. She's not ready to be vulnerable, but her heart still wants connection. When a woman is still emotionally attached to someone, her words start reflecting that attachment whether she realizes it or not. Her conversations become tinted with your memory, even if she masks it with casual tones. She may bring up how she's been lately, how things feel different now, or how life isn't quite the same. She speaks about change, but her eyes might search yours for recognition, as if she's asking, "Do you miss it too?" She won't say it directly because saying it would mean opening herself up to the possibility of rejection or misunderstanding. She fears being too much, coming across as desperate, or giving power back to a situation that may have once hurt her, so she plays it safe, but her words still betray her. There's a softness in the way she talks about the past. There's a tenderness in her voice when your name comes up, a hesitation before she moves on to the next topic. Sometimes she pretends she forgot something important, just to see if you remember. Other times, she'll ask questions she already knows the answers to, simply to create a reason to talk to you again. It's in these details that the truth is found. A woman who truly doesn't miss you won't create moments to relive what's gone. But when she does, when her words carefully dance around your memory, when her sentences are colored with nostalgia and unspoken longing, you can be sure her heart hasn't fully moved on. Her conversations are coded messages, layers of meaning hidden behind neutral tones. You just have to be still enough, aware enough, to recognize the sound of her silence speaking through carefully chosen words. Some of the most powerful emotions are the ones that go unspoken. They exist in the quiet spaces between what's said and what's felt. A woman who misses you but refuses to say it often lets her emotions speak in ways words never could. It's not because she's cold or careless, it's because vulnerability is terrifying when your heart has already been bruised. She may not cry in front of anyone. She may smile and carry on with her life, but if you look closely, the weight of her unspoken emotions follows her everywhere. It's in the way she glances at something and suddenly turns away. It's in the pauses during conversations when your name comes up, the flicker in her eyes that reveals more than her mouth ever will. Her feelings live in the unsaid, in the energy she gives off even when she says nothing at all. She may act like she's indifferent, but indifference doesn't linger like that. Indifference doesn't check your stories at 3 a.m. It doesn't hold on to little mementos or moments. It doesn't remember your routines, your schedule, or the way your voice used to soften when you said her name. That's not detachment. That's emotional presence with no permission to speak. Her actions so small, so seemingly insignificant carry the weight of everything she refuses to admit. She still listens to songs you once shared, maybe even post lyrics that say everything she can. She wear a hoodie you left behind, not because it's comfortable, but because it still smells like you. She avoids places where she thinks she might see you because she's not sure. She can handle the feelings that would rise to the surface. These are not the habits of someone who's moved on. These are signs of someone who is trying desperately to contain a heart that refuses to forget. And yet, she won't speak. Not because she's playing games, but because she's protecting what's left of her pride. She doesn't want to be the first to break the silence. She doesn't want to be the one who says, "I still feel something," and be met with nothing in return. So she lets her emotions remain locked behind her silence, hoping they will somehow be understood. And the truth is, if you know her deeply, you'll feel it. You'll feel the tension when she walks in the room. You'll sense the way her body tenses slightly when you're near, the way her smile falters for a second longer than it should. You'll hear it in her silence. You'll see it in her hesitation. That is the power of unspoken emotion. It doesn't need a declaration to be real. It's already alive, moving quietly, pulsing in every action and reaction. When you love someone but cannot say it, that love finds other ways to live. It lives in the longing, in the restraint, in the moments when she almost says something, but swallows it instead. She carries those emotions every day, not on her lips, but in her heart, where they grow heavier with each passing memory. There comes a time when the weight of silence becomes unbearable, even for the strongest hearts. A woman who misses you but won't admit it often carries the pain of separation longer than she lets on. And though she may not reach out, though she may pretend she's fine, there's a part of her that longs for one simple thing: redemption. Not just for the relationship that fell apart, but for the version of herself that existed when love was still alive between you. Reconnection isn't always about returning to a relationship. Sometimes it's about restoring peace where there was once confusion, forgiveness where there was once blame, and understanding where there was once distance. She doesn't need grand gestures. She doesn't expect you to rewrite the past. What she truly hopes for, though she won't say it, is to feel seen again, heard again, understood without having to beg for it. That quiet longing she carries isn't about weakness. It's about unfinished conversations, unspoken apologies, and the need to know if anything sacred remains between two people who once meant everything to each other. Even if pride keeps her from showing it, you'll know when she wants to reconnect. Her guard softens. Her responses take on a gentler tone. She may reach out under the disguise of something casual, a random question, a memory shared, a message that feels unnecessary but deeply intentional. And if you're wise, you won't judge the form in which that reconnection appears. You'll read between the lines, hear what her words are hiding, and understand that this is her way of extending a hand without exposing her heart too fully. Redemption comes not when everything is perfect again, but when both people finally understand what was broken. It happens in the still moments, when she lets her voice tremble just a little, when she opens up without admitting she's doing it, when her presence feels less like performance and more like surrender. That's when you'll know. She's no longer trying to prove she's over you. She's just trying to figure out if what you had still has life in it, and it might. Because love doesn't always die when people part ways. Sometimes it waits quietly, patiently, until the timing feels safe again. If you listen, if you respond without ego, without accusation, you might unlock something she thought was lost forever. Redemption doesn't mean going back. It means finding value again in something that once felt ruined. It means allowing honesty to take the place of assumption and presence to replace pride. She may never say, "I miss you," outright, but her actions, her tone, her willingness to even be near you again, that's her way of asking if there's still a door open. And if there is, it's not just for love to walk back through. It's for healing, for truth, for the chance to rewrite the ending that once felt final. Sometimes, the most beautiful reconnections begin with nothing more than two people finally choosing to look past the silence and into each other's eyes again. And now, As we reach the end of this journey, this deep reflection on silence, pride, pain, and the quiet language of love, I want you to hear this truth clearly. Just because she hasn't said it, doesn't mean she hasn't felt it. Her silence doesn't equal absence. Her pride doesn't mean she stopped caring. And her hesitation isn't rejection, it's fear. Fear of vulnerability, fear of reopening wounds, fear of reaching out and finding nothing waiting on the other side. But her actions have spoken, again and again. In glances, in moments, in memories she can't let go of. She may not have the words. She may never make the first move. But the door she leaves slightly open, the path she quietly walks back. To you in different ways, that's where her truth lives. And maybe you've been waiting too. Holding your own silence. Guarding your own heart. But perhaps it's time for someone to be brave. Not to force anything. Not to relive the past. But to bring light to what's been hidden for too long. Because love, real love, is not just something we feel. It's something we recognize. And when someone's actions speak louder than their words, it's our job to listen. To see them, truly see them. So, if you're the one wondering whether she still thinks of you, still cares, still hopes, pay attention, not to what she says, but to what she shows you when she thinks you're not watching. She won't admit she misses you. But if you look with your heart, you'll know she never really stopped. And that is where redemption begins. Amen.